Zen. Tonight's Dharma talk is given by Myung-Jin and San.
A little background. Our old friend Wisang. He was the other guy in that story about Wan Yo when he drank the skull full of maggoty water. Wisang was his traveling companion, the one that gets totally overlooked in that story. So, as it happens, they were, on their way to China to get, the true teachings of Chan, of Chinese Buddhism. And Wan Yo attained enlightenment by drinking water from that skull and finding out that it was a skull and not just like, the freshest spring water ever, which is what he thought overnight. So anyway, Wisang goes to China. He comes back, and one of the things that impressed him was the Huayan Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra. In Korean, it's known as the Hwahom Sutra. And what he did was he came up with this grid that you see. And it's not a maze per se, because you can just follow it all the way around. That character right there in the center, and you'll see if you look really carefully on the image I have there, somebody actually drew an arrow as to what direction you're supposed to read it in. It's 30 lines of 7 characters each, and it is called the Song of Dharma Nature, and it's based on the Huayan Sutra. So I'm going to read those 30 lines for you. They go by pretty quickly, but I'm going to read them slowly so that you can kind of savor them. The nature of the Dharma embraces everything. There is nothing besides this. Hence the manifestations of the mind are unmoving and so fundamentally quiet. There is neither name nor form. Everything is cut. Without experiencing enlightenment, you cannot know. Original nature is unfathomable and sublime. It never remains the same, but manifests according to affinities. In the one, there is the many. Many is included in the one. One is many. Many is the one. A speck of dust swallows the universe. Each and every speck of dust is also like this. Countless kalpas are one thought. One thought is countless kalpas. The 9 periods and the 10 periods are like one. But remaining distinct, this is mysterious and sublime. The first thought is enlightenment. Samsara and Nirvana are not two. The material world, the spiritual world, is just like this, without discrimination. The 10 Buddhas and Sammantabhadra Bodhisattva always dwell in this great state of the Mahayana. From the Heian Samadhi of the Buddha unimaginable abilities come forth at will. The Dharma, akin to precious treasures, rains upon sentient beings. Then, depending on the vessel, the individual receives the Dharma accordingly. So if anyone wants to relish the original state, without letting go of delusions, they will never succeed. Free from past karmic ties, saints use wise expedients. They make each and every one content in their original home. Bodhisattvas use this dharani like a bottomless treasure chest to decorate and glorify Dharmadhatu, the palace of the mind. Sit down in your original place and see that everything is as it is, like the Buddha of old. So that's we sung's song of Dharma nature, and Cleary's translation of the Avatamsaka is 1,200 pages long, and it gets pretty deep in some places. So I'm not even going to marginally attempt to deal with the whole thing. There are a couple of points that I wanted to try and make about Huayan Buddhism, a la the Avatamsaka Sutra, Huayan Sutra. So one of the main things in the Huayan Sutra and Huayan Buddhism in general is the notion of everything permeating everything else unhindered. Okay? There are a few other things. Another one of my faves is Fatsang, and he was the third patriarch of Huayan, and he had a few things. But let's take some random ideas and talk about them in the Huayan perspective for a moment. So, if you're familiar with the butterfly effect, which is a part of chaos theory, right? The idea is that the fluttering of a butterfly wing in Brazil can bring on a flood in Texas through all the causes and conditions that come about because of that fluttering wing. Anything changes everything. Butterfly, flood. In a more modern, recent sort of thing, we could talk about the universe. Let's say that the universe is one big protest mob. Okay, that's the entire universe, is one big protest mob. And you take away one frog from that mob, the entire universe is different. You may say, no, it's just the universe with one fewer frog costume guy in it. And the point is that that universe that existed with the guy with the frog costume in it no longer exists once he leaves. That is a whole new, different universe. Butterfly flaps its wing. Somebody bumps into someone else on the street. Every one of these things changes the entire universe, which may seem odd, but if you put it in the context of impermanence and that everything is always changing, the idea that the universe changes because of anything happening at any time is not really that difficult. One minuscule change changes the entire universe. It's no longer the universe that you know of, that you think you have some standing in, that you have something to cling to. It's all different. It's always changing, always changing, always changing. Fatsang uses an interesting metaphor that took me kind of a while to wrap my head around. His thing was basically that you have these coins, and as long as you have all 10 of them, they have value. But if you take one away, they no longer have any value. Which seemed like, well, shouldn't it just be one less coin's worth of value? If, however, you put it in terms of, let's say your rent is $1,000 a month. Every month, $1,000. Here you go. $1,000. I can live here for another month. 1 month, you come up $100 short. If the value is the rent, the place to live, that value is based on there being all 10 of those coins. 9 is worthless. So if you come across Fatsang's, I don't know, there's a video on YouTube that I really like about Fatsang, and it's in this case spelled Fatsang as opposed to Fazang, which is the more modern way. Some other thoughts based on the Song of Dharma nature. Where does the breath end and the sky begin? Sky is breath, breath is sky. There's no separation between them. They're just part of the whole. We may call them different things and think of them at different times, but the reality is that it's all part of the same thing. It's a not one, not two scenario, right? Where, yeah, you breathe, and that's not necessarily the sky, but there's really no delineation between breath and sky. The other thing that I don't know, maybe you can look at Fatsang's treatise on the house and the rafter, and that the house is built with a rafter in it. And if you take away that rafter, it's no longer that house. And in fact, that thing that used to be a rafter, is it a rafter anymore? Or is that just a name that we give it? When it's not holding up the roof of a house, it's pretty much just a big chunk of wood. So everything is going to depend upon its function, what we call it at that given moment. And the rafter contains the house contains the rafter. There's no house without the rafter. There's no rafter without the house. Now, how do we use this? I mean, this is all really nice, and Huayan is kind of a philosophical school. But when we put things in terms of sameness and difference, as a certain poem by Shitao says, something that starts, I believe, with branching streams flow on in the dark, I think, that one, yeah. We can see that all of these divisions that we make are arbitrary. They're useless. They only serve to preserve a state of suffering, not relieve it. When one thing changes, the entire universe changes. So get over it. It's always changing. We have nothing to stand on, and that's cool. All we've got is that everything is always changing. Changing, 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 changing. So it's a new universe constantly. You can't even say it's a new universe every moment, because how do you even subdivide a moment? What are the increments in a moment? If you can find them, let me know, because I've never been able to do that. So our baseline is that everything is changing. The baseline is that these differences that we make serve no purpose. When all is said and done, they're illusory. They're made by thinking. They don't necessarily exist in the way that you might think they do. If you've ever had a CAT scan, you can think of it as, I've got my body. It's a thing. It's my body. But you go into this CAT scan machine and the thing whirls around and they show you the result of it. What the CAT scan machine does is it slices you up into all these different little layers. Now, all of those different little layers are not in and of themselves going to function as my body, but they are the body, and the body is each of those slices. So even if you chop it up, it's still the body, right? You take a big long loaf of bologna and you slice it up, it's still bologna. When was the last time you ever heard anyone talk about bologna? I ask you. So, Our baseline is that everything is changing. Somewhere there's a butterfly flapping its wing. Somewhere there's a guy in a frog suit leaving a protest. Somewhere there's a house that the rafter fell in. Everything is changing. Divisions are arbitrary. I want to close with one of the main things in the YN Sutra, which is about Indra's net. And when I first heard about it, I thought it was really interesting, but I didn't quite have the title correct. So I was Googling Indra's web. And there are a good number of website developers that use that name. So it's Indra's net. You'll do much better from a Buddhist standpoint if you put in net instead of web. But anyway, there's this big web. And at each point where, the web intersects, at each node, there's a jewel, right? And infinite number of jewels. And each jewel, if you look at it, it contains a reflection of every other jewel. It contains every other jewel in that one jewel. And it goes the same for every other jewel throughout the entire web. Net. Anyway, so everything contains everything else. If we start making arbitrary divisions and decisions based on thinking that one thing is different from another, it's only going to lead to more suffering. So please help all sentient beings with that in mind.